The Lantern Husk, a Kansas night terror. The Lantern Husk, a Kansas night terror. The plains of Kansas stretch wide and flat, a sea of grass and grain that whispers under the wind. By day, it's a quiet beauty. By night, it's a void where the horizon vanishes and the stars feel too close. Farmers in Haskell County knew better than to linger in their fields after dark, not because of coyotes or storms, but because of the lantern husk. They described it as a towering scarecrow-like figure with a hollow chest that flickered with an unnatural light, a beacon that marked you if you saw it. Old-timers warned it wasn't just a story, it was a curse. Caleb Morrow ignored them. Caleb was 42, a third-generation farmer with calloused hands and a stubborn streak. He'd worked his land alone since his wife passed, tending wheat and corn under a sky that never seemed to care. On September 19, 2024, a late harvest kept him out past sunset, his tractor's headlights cutting through the dusk. He'd heard the tales, how the husk roamed the plains, how its glow meant you'd never see home again, but he chalked it up to rural superstition. Scarecrows don't walk, he'd scoffed to his neighbor Hank over coffee that morning. Hank just shook his head. Don't look at the light, Caleb. The night was still, the air heavy with the scent of dry earth, when Caleb's tractor sputtered to a stop near the field's edge. He cursed, hopping down with a flashlight to check the engine, the beam bouncing off rows of corn stalks. That's when he noticed it, a faint, pulsing glow in the distance, like a lantern swaying on a pole. He squinted, figuring it was a hunter or a prank, and called out, "Hey, who's there?" No answer, just the wind rustling the stalks, and the light growing brighter, closer. Caleb's flashlight dimmed as he stepped toward it, a chill creeping up his spine. The glow wasn't a lantern. It was coming from a figure, tall and thin, shambling through the corn. The lantern husk. Its body was a patchwork of burlap and straw, arms dangling like broken branches, but its chest was hollow, a jagged cavity where a pale, flickering light pulsed like a dying star. It had no face, just a sagging sackcloth head with two dark stains where eyes might have been. It stopped, tilting its head as if it heard him, and the light flared. "Don't look at the light," Hank had said. Caleb couldn't help it. He stared transfixed as the glow seemed to reach into him, cold and sharp. He stumbled back, dropping his flashlight, and ran for the tractor. The engine roared to life as he floored it, but a glance in the side mirror showed the husks still standing there, its light steady, unblinking. He made it home, locking the door, telling himself it was a trick of exhaustion. But sleep wouldn't come. Every creak of the house, every gust outside felt like it was watching. The next night, it was closer. Caleb woke to that same glow seeping through his bedroom window, faint but unmistakable. He peeked through the blinds and saw it, standing at the edge of his wheat field, motionless, its chest flickering like a heartbeat. He grabbed his shotgun, hands shaking, and yelled, "Get off my land!" The wind carried his voice away, and the husk didn't budge. By morning, it was gone, but scorch marks dotted the porch where he'd stood. It followed him for days. On the third night, he found it in his barn, looming over the tractor, straw hands brushing the metal. The light pulsed faster, and Caleb fired, buckshot tearing through burlap and straw, but the husk didn't fall. It just turned, those eyeless stains locking onto him, and shuffled closer. He fled to the house, barricading the door, but the glow seeped through every crack, filling the rooms with a cold, buzzing hum. "Leave me alone!" he screamed. The hum grew louder, a sound like static and whispers braided together. On September 23rd, Hank stopped by, worried after Caleb missed their usual coffee. The farmhouse was silent, the door ajar. Inside, he found Caleb's shotgun on the floor, shells scattered, and scorch marks trailing up the stairs. In the bedroom, the bed was empty, sheets tangled, but the window was wide open, facing the fields. Out there, Hank saw it, the lantern husk, standing in the wheat, its light pulsing faintly. Beside it lay Caleb's dogs, stiff and charred, their fur singed to ash. Hank called the sheriff, but the search found nothing, no footprints, no body, just those scorch marks and a lingering chill. The husk vanished after that night, but farmers swear it's still out there, waiting for the next fool to catch its glow. Caleb's land sits fallow now, the tractor rusting in the barn, and Hank keeps his curtains drawn tight. On quiet nights, they say you can see a flicker on the plains, a lantern that isn't a lantern, marking its next claim.